Welcome to the complete Hun Batz guide in Smite Season 6. If you learned something from this guide, then be sure to drop a like and share it around with your friends, but let's get right into it with the contents of the guide. So we'll start with Hun Batz's basic playstyle and overview, what he's all about, where he's played, and why you should play him. Then all of his abilities explained in depth and the best ways to use them. After that, items and builds, where I'll discuss all of my item choices for Hun Batz and why they're good, plus a build example for those just looking to jump in. And finally, we'll finish off the guide with some tips and tricks to up your game on Hun Batz. Alright, so let's dive right in with Batz's basic playstyle and overview. So Hun Batz is a fairly typical ability-based assassin. He likes to dive in, focus a target with high burst damage using his abilities, and get out. He does notably have a very strong teamfight presence with his ultimate though, and his playstyle is built around using Fear No Evil correctly in a teamfight scenario and getting the most value from it. Batz is a very well-rounded assassin, being able to do damage, CC, and disruption, plus has some decent mobility as well to get in and out of fights. He's your typical bursty assassin. If you like other assassins in the class, like Thor or Fenrir for example, you'll probably like him too. Alright, so let's cover all of Batz's abilities in depth and the best ways to use them. So his passive, Infused Strikes, is pretty simple. It's just a 20% damage boost to your next auto attack after using an ability, so it's like a built-in mini Hydra's Lament. This isn't really anything special that you need to pay attention to in the game, beyond just making sure you weave in auto attacks between your abilities to maximise your damage. One quick thing to note with this though is that it works on your next successful basic attack, so you can miss a basic attack in between casting an ability and still get the bonus damage. Alright, onto his actual abilities, starting with the 1, Somersault. This is a medium range jump that does damage on landing in a small area and slows all enemies hit. So once again, this ability is quite simple. Great for chasing kills due to the slow, allowing you to get in basic attacks or other abilities on the slowly moving target. It can also go over walls of course due to it being a jump, and you can use it to run away as well. The 2, Overhand Smash, is a charging cone damage ability. Batz leaps into the air, charges for a short time, then slams the ground in a cone, doing pretty heavy damage to everyone in the area. This also has a very low cooldown of 8 seconds once ranked up, so you can get this off multiple times on a target if you need to. You are also immune to the strafe and backpedal movement slows while using this, so you can move freely. And one final thing, the animation, while it might look like a jump, it's not actually a jump and you're fully targetable while channeling this. Abilities like Vulcan's Magma Bomb that are ground targeted will still hit you, so be aware of that. And of course you can't use this to go over walls either. Onto the 3, Sacred Monkey. Hun Batz throws a monkey forwards. If it hits a target, it does damage and bounces to up to 4 nearby targets. Enemy gods can only be hit once, so it won't bounce back to them like Nejar's Ring Toss would for example, but it can hit minions and jungle camps more than once, making it very good for early jungle clear. Hun Batz can reactivate the ability at any time to teleport to the last target hit by the monkey, giving him a little bit of extra mobility and chase potential. Alright, onto the big boy of his kit, the ultimate, Fear No Evil, allows you to deploy a totem that deals damage and fears enemies directly away from it in a large area every 0.25 seconds. This makes enemies caught in the area completely unable to control their character. They can't control movement, cast abilities, use basic attacks or relics, except beads of course, which will purify the CC. There's also a tiny delay before the totem hits so people can immune it or get away, so be aware of that and try to ambush people so they don't see it coming for maximum effect. Alright, with all of his abilities covered, let's move on to Hun Batz's item and build choices. So Batz builds like your typical bursty ability-based assassin, looking for high power, penetration, and some CDR in there as well. Maybe even with a little defense thrown in later into the game if you feel you need it. So for starting builds in jungle, you want Assassin's Blessing of course, it's the go-to jungle item. Then tier 1 mace and 2 potions. For me, I like 1 health and 1 mana potion on Hun Batz due to his relatively high mana costs, but potion layout is really up to you. From there, your first item should be boots, which you have 2 choices for in my view, Warrior Tabai and Talaria boots. This is really a personal preference thing, if you prefer a bit more damage or a bit more mobility. It really just depends on how you like to play. They both cost the same, so it's just your preference. After finishing your boots, you want to get your mace and finish that into an actual item. For me, I prefer Jolton's Wrath on Hun Batz because the CDR is really powerful with his ultimate. Having it up more often is key to using Hun Batz effectively. But you could also try the Crusher in this slot for more early game burst damage as well. So after those 2 items, the build can differ a bit, so here's my list of items I usually pick from for the rest of my build when playing Hun Batz. So as I mentioned, the Crusher is great. If you didn't get it in that second item slot, you can get it a bit later on as well. Hydra's Lament is amazing for Hun Batz because of how well it complements his passive. Stacking Hydra's damage on top of the 20% from Infused Strikes makes your auto attacks hit super hard when weaving them in between abilities. Transcendence is an option. I don't usually get it every game, it's more something I'll get if I'm fed from the early game and can get it stacked easily, because once it is stacked it gives a ton of power and some CDR along with near infinite mana. But if you can't get it stacked very easily, it's quite cost inefficient compared to other items. Brawler's Beatstick is your go-to anti-heal option if the enemy team has significant healers. Titan's Bane to deal with tanks with that percentage penetration, but of course if you're just focusing squishies all game and ignoring the tanks, this item isn't really necessary. Bloodforge is great. Similar to Trance though, I usually only get this if I'm ahead and snowballing to close out games. From behind, you're not going to be getting that many kills and this item isn't quite as useful. Void Shield is a great hybrid defense and damage item, giving you some health and protections along with some power and penetration. Magi's Cloak is great too for some pure defense and of course that life-saving passive on the item preventing you from getting hard CC'd. You could also go into Mantle of Discord too if you're just looking for some raw defense to keep yourself alive. Just don't overload your build with too much defense or your damage will suffer a lot. Alright, so with item options covered, let's get into that full build example for Jungle Hun Batz. So you want to start with Assassin's Blessing, Mace, 1 health and 1 mana potion. Grab Warrior Tabi as your first item, then finish your Mace into Jotun's Wrath, then get Hydra's Lament, Transcendence, Void Shield, sell your Blessing for Titan's Bane, and if the game goes long enough you can swap your boots for Bloodforge or any other situational item you need really, and grab the Elixir of Speed. Your relics for Jungle Batz should always be Beads and Blink in whatever order you prefer for your playstyle. Alright, so let's finish up this guide with a few Hun Batz tips and tricks. So first up, when using the ultimate, try to catch people close to walls and place the totem behind them so it fears them directly into the wall if you can. This basically makes the fear act as a stun because they're just running in place into a wall and are stationary for the full duration, which makes it easier for you and your teammates to pump damage into that target instead of them running away. So I've mentioned this before, but make sure you're auto attack cancelling effectively on Hun Batz to make full use of his passive and Hydra's Lament. He has a very low post-fire delay on both his 1 and his 2, so you can just hold down the auto-attack button while you're casting them, and afterwards it should put out an auto-attack very quickly. Plus, the monkey allows for good AA cancelling too. You can auto-attack, throw the monkey, auto-attack again, teleport to the monkey, and auto-attack again for a lot of burst damage. That won't proc Hydras and infused strikes like 3 times, but it is a good way to maximise your damage. And finally, try to use the Sacred Monkey to teleport into a fight or use Blink. That way you save your jump for getting away if the fight goes badly, or chasing the kill if the enemy jumps or dashes away. It's always good to cover all options when you're engaging in a team fight. Alright, so that's it for the complete Hun Batz guide for Season 6. I hope you did enjoy and learn something from this one. If you did, then don't forget to drop a like before you leave, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day, and peace out you nerds.